besties, welcome to today's video. We are going to go through all the books that I read in July, what I thought and what I rated them. This is also my first YouTube video, so please be nice. I'm also having to use my microphone because there's building works going on outside, so I'm hoping with the mic you can't hear it. Fingers crossed. We read 15 books and we actually had quite a few 5 stars. It was a really good reading month. I can't believe that we're in August already. Like, it is actually insane. Where has this year gone? Also, kind of insane that I'm literally having to wear a cardigan in August. It is so miserable and gloomy and rainy outside. Not the vibes, but it does kind of mean I'm creeping back into my fantasy era, which I'm not mad about. Let's get comfy and talk about books. So the first book that I read in July was Dark Birch Academy. This is a debut novel for the author. It's in an academy setting and we have two rival academies. Our FMC kind of appointed to infiltrate the rival academy. We have a very sexy professor who I really, really liked. I did wish we had a bit more depth to the story though. I feel like it was very focused on the main tasks that our two main characters had to complete throughout this book. I would have really enjoyed having depth to the side characters and the world building, more of characters specifically in the academy setting. It very much jumped forward in time to just solely be focused on the task that they needed to complete. I personally love it when we have like depth to the side characters and we really get to know them and we have that found family sort of aspect. I really did think we would get this in this book. Our FMC met loads of people when she transferred to the academy and I was like, oh my god, is this going to be her friend? We're going to like form some sort of a little group here, but nothing really happened with that. This is going to be a series though, so I'm hoping we do get more of that in the next coming books. I would hope. Obviously, with it being a fantasy series, it got left on quite a big cliffhanger, so I am really excited to see where the story goes and how it develops. I did enjoy this. It was like a fun bingeable read, but I do wish we just had that a bit more depth to the bigger picture of the story. I gave this 3 stars, and for a debut novel, I thought it was really, really good. I then read The Maddest Obsession, which is the second book in the Maid series. The Maid series is a mafia romance. Second book follows Christian. This is his book, and I really, really liked Christian in this book. This man, oh my god. So we have kind of a dual timeline to the story. It's not second chance, it's just, I guess their story has been cooking for quite a long time. We have like the past and then the present, and we kind of get all that in a dual timeline to where we are in the present and how it all kind of links together. This man, literally in the first chapter, this man is in therapy. This man is in therapy because he is obsessed with this woman. I'm sorry. He goes to therapy because of how obsessed he is with her. Despite it being a mafia romance and it having like dark elements and unhinged elements, the story was actually quite sweet and I did really enjoy this. I gave this 4 stars. I've got one book left in this series, The Darkest Temptation, I think it's called, so I do want to read that quite soon. And I read 2 of the Ali Hazelwood STEMinist novellas. So we have Under One Roof and Stuck With You. These are really short. They're around 100 pages each, I think. I just read them whilst I was on the train. Now FMCs are put in situations where they're in close proximities to their MMC. Lots of tension, lots of chemistry. Oh, that's so good to be able to capture all of that in just 100 pages. There's obviously not loads of depth because there's only 100 pages in these books, but I do feel like even within those 100 pages we have like the side characters and we have like the little found family and we have that connection to with the MMC and the FMC that sometimes you don't even get in a 400-page book. So I was really impressed with what she managed to do within these 100 pages. There's one left in this little novella series, which I also want to read soon. But I gave both these novellas 3 stars. But as far as novellas go, these are really good ones. Like, so much depth in that, like I say, in just those 100 pages. And if you wanted a quick, easy read, these are just absolutely perfect for that. Then I read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. This was my first V.E. Schwab book and it really did not disappoint. Like, wow, 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 wow. This was phenomenal. Like, so good. This got advertised to me as toxic lesbian vampires, and whilst yes it is toxic lesbian vampires, there is so much more to the story. As the writing is absolutely beautiful, we have so many metaphors and so many underlying meanings to everything that's been said in this book. It's so poetic, so gorgeously written. Like, I actually cannot say enough about how beautifully this was written. This book actually spoke to my soul. It was so good. So many underlying meanings of what it's like to be a woman, especially 500 years ago when being a woman was so different to how it is now, with them being almost property and their whole sole purpose was to be a wife and to be a mother, that sort of aspect of being a woman, and how vampirism sort of is a metaphor for being a woman. I just think it was so beautifully written, and I would really recommend that you read this. It is so much more than toxic lesbian vampires. I know that is a huge selling point, like it sold me. It was just phenomenal, like so good, and the ending was just so jaw dropping. Like I did not expect what happened in the ending to happen. I rate this 5 stars, and I really want to reread this and annotate and just highlight all the beautiful quotes. Like it's so gorgeous. I really would like the Fairy Loot edition. It's so stunning, and the artwork on the Fairy Loot edition, wow. 5 stars, amazing. Add this to your TBR if it's not already on there. Next up, we have Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. I picked this up expecting it to be a cute summer read, maybe a 3-star, maybe a 4-star, but wow. This was so good. I rated this book 5 stars. I found this so unexpectedly good. I just wasn't expecting it to be a 5-star read. This is an age gap romance, and it follows Maya and Connor. Connor is Maya's brother's best friend. Maya is 23 and Connor is 38, so it's quite a big age gap, and this takes place at their brother's wedding. So obviously they're both at the wedding, but we also have a dual timeline where they've clearly had a bit of history beforehand, and we kind of get to know them from back then and the now, and how they kind of get together. Just done so well. Like I was actually speechless. We had all the classic tropes. We had forced proximity, brother's best friend. We even had the age gap, which I think was done so well. It felt realistic in the sense that it was talked about how there was a power dynamic and a power balance, with him being so much older and her being so much younger. He especially did not want this to happen, like refusing it. Connor was actually a bit mean as well, and I really liked that. Perfect for summer, perfect for being on a beach. I read this in pretty much one sitting. Definitely read this again. Like it was just so much fun. A very unexpected 5-star read. Then we have Broken Country, but this one is sort of courtroom drama, mystery, thriller, and a bit of romance as well. We have a bit of a love triangle going on with our FMC's childhood love and her current husband, and that whole dynamic is so much more than just that whole dynamic. Like there's so much going on around all of this, because we're also following what's happening in the present in a courtroom where someone is on trial. We don't know who's on trial, and we don't know what they're on trial for, or like what's happened. And we're kind of trying to discover all of that whilst also getting our FMC's backstory and kind of what happened in her teenage years and what has led to this moment. Every chapter had me hooked and kept me wanting to read, which is obviously a really good thing to have in a book. Like you want to keep reading, you want to find out what happens. I did guess the major 2 plot twists in this book, which, you know, obviously you don't want that to happen, but it was still a good read. I still enjoy it. I would still recommend, especially if you like that courtroom drama, like mystery with a bit of romance thrown in there. This very much gave me like BBC kind of program sort of vibe, if you know what I mean. If you're from the UK, you will know what I mean. I gave this 4 stars overall, and I do want to read more books like that where there's a bit of mystery involved and a bit of intrigue. So if anyone's got any recs, please let me know. And then we have Time of Your Life by Jessa Hastings. This was a new release in July, and I actually went to the pop-up in London with my bestie Camilla, and we got our book signed by Jessa herself. Oh, my pride of joy. And then obviously I had to come home and read this immediately. On the back, it says she wasn't supposed to meet someone like him. He wasn't supposed to be her undoing. Like squealing. This was just so good. So we follow Isolde and Joa, who Joa's a rock star and part of a really big famous band, and Isolde is a supermodel, a very popular big supermodel. And this is set in the 90s. We start the book with them literally meeting. So we're kind of getting that whole story from when they meet to up until obviously the end of the book. And their dynamic is so messy, so toxic. They don't communicate properly with each other. I'm not sure that they know how to communicate properly with each other. It's almost insta love, but it's not insta love in the sense of everything's perfect and happy and we want to be together. Like there is so much more to the story, and these characters will literally drive you absolutely insane. If you have read Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings, Jessa said herself that these two make Magnolia and BJ look like child's play. And she was not wrong. This one was obviously 5 stars. just everything I wanted and more from this book. Toxic, messy, drama, tick, 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 all my boxes. Perfect. It was so good. Beartown by Frederick Brockman. Wow. This book was incredible. Incredible. This was my first Frederick Brockman book, and I feel like I chose a good one to start with. This is part of a trilogy, the Beartown trilogy, and the town is kind of centered around ice hockey. It's just so much more than that as well. We get to know all the characters throughout the town and everybody's story. It also follows a tragedy at the start of the book. We get like a snippet of what happens at the end, which kind of has you hooked as to what is going to happen, how it happens, and the series of events leading up to it happening. I just think this was done so well. It was so well written. There was so many beautiful quotes. And now looking back, I think so many things were said with such intention and foreshadowing, and I just think it was done so well. I'm so excited to read the rest of this trilogy and more of Frederick Brockman's work. This was another 5 stars. Also, I don't want to give too much away because I went into this pretty blind. Like, all I knew was it was about a hockey town and the bit at the beginning that kind of tells you where the story's gonna go, or sort of where we end up. Obviously, we don't know who's involved and how we get there, and we follow so many characters that it could literally be anyone, and so many people are connected to the storyline. And one of the major plot points, which I guess spirals off the events that continue to happen that lead to the end. I don't know if I'm saying this very well at all because I don't want to spoil it, but I want to get you to read it because it was incredible. Then I read Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Again, this was another 5-star read. So in this, we follow our FMC Joan, who is a woman in STEM in the 80s, and it's kind of her story about how she becomes an astronaut. And all I knew going into this book was it was about astronauts in the 80s. That's all I knew. And obviously, we're kind of following her journey on to becoming an astronaut and how it's so much more difficult to become an astronaut, especially as a woman in the 80s. And I thought that that was such an interesting aspect of the book. But obviously, we do have some romance and we do have a love interest. We do watch our FMC fall in love. We kind of also have dual timeline with this. We've actually had quite a few dual timeline books this month, like a bit of back and forth as to something happening and then how we get to what is happening. And wow, the way this was done was just incredible. And boy, oh boy, did I cry reading this book. I finished reading this book and I just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. Like, I cried like a baby. I cried like a baby. 5 stars. Actually, this might even be 6 stars because I was truly just like floored finishing this book, and I have literally thought about it every single day since finishing this book. I really urge you to read this and add it to your TBRs if you have not read it, or if you know, are on the fence about reading it. Please read it. It is such a beautiful story, and I can't recommend this book enough. The way it all comes together at the end, like, it will really have you in your feels. Like, really have you in your feels. Then I read Never by Jessa Hastings. This was the only Jessa Hastings book I hadn't read yet, so naturally I wanted to read it. This is a Peter Pan retelling. Yes, it's more true to the original Peter Pan, where Peter Pan wasn't good and wasn't how he was in the Disney films we all watched when we were little. So I did really like that aspect. But this book had me so conflicted the entire time. This follows Daphne, who is Wendy's granddaughter. Grandma Wendy and then her great grandma Mary are like telling her about Peter Pan as she's growing up. When she gets to like 12, 13, like, oh, he's going to come to the window, he's going to come to the window, he's going to take you to Neverland. Doesn't turn up until she's 17, about to turn 18, and that's when he comes. He's more grown up as well. He's not a 13-year-old boy like he is in the films. Like, he's more grown up, and he takes her to Neverland, and that's where our story kind of kicks off. But there is something going on in Neverland. Like, something's going on in Neverland, and we still don't even know what's going on in Neverland. Stuff isn't adding up. I think Daphne is a really unreliable narrator, but having read this book, I feel like it makes sense as to why she's an unreliable narrator. If you read it, it will make sense. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil it. I really would like to read the second book because I need some answers. I have loads of questions. I need answers. I need some clarity on the situation. I need it to make sense. But I do think it's completely intentional that I feel like this towards this book. I do think it's intentional that it drove me crazy. I do think it's intentional that I have so many questions and I'm angry and I'm, feeling all these feelings. I do think it's completely intentional, and I do think I'm meant to feel that way, which makes me just like, wow, like hats off to Jessa for being able to do that. But at the same time, I'm just so like, what on earth did I just read? It was infuriating. It was infuriating. Gave this 3 stars. I don't know if I'd recommend reading this. It is very a maybe. Jessa's writing is definitely not for everybody. But I really loved Peter Pan when I was younger, so I did think I would really enjoy this. I didn't not enjoy it. I'm so conflicted because I didn't not enjoy it, but I didn't absolutely love it either, which is why I've just kind of settled on the 3 star because I generally just don't know how I feel about this book. Like, yeah, I need the second book. I need some answers. Then I read Silvercloak. This one, my bestie Pat got me to read. We went book shopping and she was like, "You need to read this book." It was a 6 star read for me. So naturally, I had to pick it up. This cover is literally stunning. Like, I'm literally obsessed. And the map on the inside is in full colour. Gorge. Like, look at that. Absolutely so gorgeous. I feel like we don't usually get maps in colour. So I really, really like that about this book. Let me read you what's on the back. In a world where magic is fueled by pleasure and pain, an obsessive detective must infiltrate a gang of dark mages. Welcome to the Silvercloak saga. Intriguing, I know. We have a detective who's in the Silvercloak. It's what I'm imagining to be like the FBI sort of thing. And they infiltrate the Blood Moons, which is like the mafia, Peaky Blinders of this magic realm. That's how I kind of imagined it. To have cloaks and wands and spells, which I really enjoyed because it was very nostalgic to me having those sorts of magic and magic systems that I fell in love with when I was younger. So I really enjoyed having that aspect. And then obviously we have FMC Saf, who is a detective in the Silvercloaks, is going undercover to infiltrate the Blood Moons and kind of bring the whole organized crime organization sort of thing like down. But obviously nothing is as it seems and stuff goes wrong, things are discovered. Just such a good read. Like, this got me back into wanting to read more fantasy. I'd not read fantasy in a while, I think just because of summer and everything, but this really got me wanting to read fantasy again. I did really enjoy this. It is somewhere between a 4.5 and a 5. I was having such an off day when I finished this. I was just feeling a bit depressed, can't lie. I don't know. It could very well be a 5, but I need to sit on it for a while because I didn't get that immediate 5 star feeling after finishing it. But I don't know if that's because I was having an off day or if it just wasn't a 5. It was 4.5, you know? So it's somewhere between a 4.5 and a 5. Still a really, really good read, a really, really good fantasy. This is L.K. Stevens' debut adult novel, I believe. It's also going to be a trilogy as well, so I'm really excited for the second book after the cliffhanger that was the ending. I also have such beautiful, beautiful quotes throughout this book. I'm going to read you one because it was literally so good. Let me find it. He looked at her as though she had saved him, which she had, and as though she would be the death of him, which she would. Yeah, like, I'm just obsessed. I'm just obsessed. This was so, so good. We read The Wolf King and the Night Prince. This is 2 out of 3 books that will be in the trilogy. This was a really good fantasy series. It was very bingeable, very easy to read, easy world building, very easy to follow. We have a bit of a love triangle going on, although I am very team one specific person. Can we have sort of the story setting up? It follows Aurora Rory, who is a princess in the Southlands, and it's the human sort of realm. And then in the Northlands, we have the wolves, who are kind of like Scotland. That's what I'm imagining anyway. And on the audiobook, all the wolves have Scottish accents. So I'm imagining that as Scotland, and then the human realm is like England. That's kind of what I'm imagining. So Aurora Rory gets taken to the wolf Northlands, the wolf territory, to meet the Wolf King. There's quite a lot of politics involved in this as well, despite it being an easy read. We have a lot of talk about territories and kingdoms and alliances. I just thought it was really well done, and the audiobook for this is really, really good. I listened to a bit of it on audiobook, and it is duet narration. So when the characters are speaking, we have like a male voice and a female voice rather than the female voice doing the male voice. After listening to audiobooks that do have duet narration, I definitely prefer it when there is a male and female, if that's the case in the book, obviously, to have different voices and it's not just the female character doing the male voice or vice versa. I did really, really enjoy that aspect of the audiobook. So the Night Prince follows on from the Wolf King. I'm really excited to see how this kind of all comes together in the end, because as a trilogy, the next book will obviously be the last book. I rated both of these at 4 stars. They were just really good bingeable reads. And then lastly, on audiobook, I listened to this complete on audiobook. It's A Kingdom This Cursed and Empty. Can't remember what the series is called, but it's the second book after A Court is Cruel and Lovely, so it's obviously following on from the end of that book. I don't really remember what happened in the second book, which is not good. I remember the first book. I really enjoyed the first book, and we kind of have the magic system. Everyone has a bit of magic. We have fae, we have half fae, half humans, and we have humans, and everyone has some sort of magic, and the gods are telling them that they have to give their magic to the king, and it's kind of like sucked out of them. And FMC has kind of found out that she is not completely human. She has to run away, and that's when she encounters that MMC, and the story kind of goes from there. I did get a bit of a cliffhanger from the first book, and then obviously the second book kind of carries on from there, and it's just kind of delving in deep to the story. I think I do remember bits of it, but it wasn't super memorable. I gave this 3 stars, and I don't know if I'm going to continue the series. I feel like it's not really piqued my interest, or it's not piquing my interest right now. I might very well pick it up one day, but I'm just not in a rush to finish it. I feel like there's maybe 4 or 5 books out, so there is quite a lot to get through. I feel like if there was just one more book left, I would just read it, but I don't know if I would have preferred to have just read this and listened to the whole thing on audiobook, because I just didn't feel as connected to it on audiobook as I did when I was reading it. That might be a me problem. I wouldn't say it was a bad read. I just can't really remember what happened. But again, I don't know if that sounded just listening to it completely on audiobook. Yeah, I don't know. But those are all the books that I read in July. I feel like I had quite a good reading month. I feel like this month I was really reminded why I loved reading, and I just managed to read so many amazing books. And I do hope we can kind of keep that up in August. I do really want to prioritize my physical TBR in August because it is a bit hefty right now. I had a really good month, and if you're still here, thank you so much for listening to me yap for all this time. I feel like I've been sat here for ages just yapping about books, which actually makes me really happy to just sit here and yap about books. My reading wrap up yesterday for TikTok, and it was just so fun yapping. So I thought, why not pull the plug and just try film it for YouTube as well. So if you're still here, thank you so much for sticking around and for listening to me yap. I hope you have enjoyed watching this, hopefully, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.